But that doesn't mean that she was set down in a Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's come from a working class family.
It implies that in some way she's behind the 8 ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the 8 ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
Is that privileged or not? She was a bartender.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a delivery boy.
But I'm saying that you have to give the people who are out front speaking for the party, not the people who are.
If you think
she's evolving,
yeah, she's evolving,
and
as we all are,
and she is moving into
right.
She understands the game a little bit more, and if you notice, she is sort of becoming a sort of normal kind of Democrat in many ways.
Yeah, I think the talk around AOC running for president in 2028 is getting louder, but Bill Maher isn't buying any of it. Has been going hard on the idea, warning that putting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at the top of the ticket could be a disaster for the Democratic Party. His take is sharp, direct, and honestly hard to argue with, so if you enjoy sharp political commentary with no sugar-coating, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like and let's get right into it.
It's not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think it's because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on election day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
Nobody denies it. AOC draws big crowds when she shows up alongside figures like Bernie Sanders or hits the stage at major events. The energy is real, the venues fill up, the supporters go loud. But here's the thing, big crowds don't win elections. We've seen this play out before in the last election cycle. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz packed arenas across the country. The buzz was massive, the momentum felt unstoppable, but when election day came, none of it mattered. The results told a completely different story, and that's Bill Maher's point. Rally energy and real voter support are not the same thing. Headlines don't equal ballots, and if Democrats keep confusing hype with actual electability, they're going to keep making the same mistake.
People love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for, who are meeting the moment with the same energy that
they're not asking for AOC.
Yes, they are.
The people you party with
No. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
Well, most people don't.
The harsh reality Bill Maher points out is this: while AOC enjoys strong support within Democratic circles, that popularity does not translate nearly as well to the broader electorate. Most Democrats like her. That is why they show up in big numbers at her rallies, bringing energy, enthusiasm, and the feeling of a growing movement. But outside that bubble, the response is much less positive. Maher argues that the problem is ideological. In his view, many voters see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as too far to the left and too closely tied to policies and messaging that feel disconnected from everyday concerns. To her critics, she represents a style of politics rooted in woke culture and progressive activism, which can push away moderates and independents. Whether that perception is fair or not, it becomes a serious obstacle in a national election. Maher's warning is simple but sharp: energizing the base is one thing, but winning the middle is what decides elections.
That doesn't mean that she was set down in a Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's come from a working class family.
It implies that in some way she's behind the 8 ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the 8 ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
Is that privileged or not? She was a bartender.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a delivery boy.
But I'm saying sometimes, Bill, you don't agree with Donald Trump's policies.
No.
But that's what the people want.
Some of them.
Whether you like her or not, I don't like what she did with Amazon in New York. But I think AOC she's a Democratic icon.
Well, she's the wrong. If you think that's the direction the country, the Democratic.
I'm not saying the policy.
During one exchange, Don Lemon pushes the idea that AOC's likability should count for something. Bill Maher shuts that down fast. In his view, being popular isn't the same as being ready to lead. The real question is always the same: what policies are you bringing? What direction are you pushing? Voters don't just pick someone they like; they pick someone they believe in. Maher points to the last election as proof. Kamala Harris had genuine public appeal, but many critics say there was always a question about Where she actually stood, was she running as a moderate or leaning progressive? That confusion, according to Maher, created hesitation, and in a tight race even a little hesitation can flip the outcome.
Will vote for AOC and Donald Trump on the same ticket because they're authentic. No, because they're authentic.
I don't think that, Don.
I think you're wrong about that.
What people like about people like Trump and Fetterman is because it's irrelevant to her life.
But you don't know her life.
I know that being a gorgeous woman who I wouldn't even know was Hispanic in a city that has 1 million Hispanics and does not treat them badly.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't struggle. That doesn't mean that she was set down.
It implies.
Bill Maher also goes after AOC's personal narrative, specifically the bartender story. For years it's been repeated as proof of her working class roots, but Maher suggests it feels more like a carefully built image than a raw, honest reflection of who she is, and this is where things get risky. Today's voters are sharp. They spot political performance quickly. If people start feeling like a candidate is playing a character instead of being real, the pushback hits hard. Maher's point is blunt: you can't fake authenticity, and when it looks like you're trying to, it doesn't just fail, it actively drives people away. In politics, trust is everything, and once it cracks, it's almost impossible to rebuild.
She espouses that's the direction, but I'm saying that you have to give the people who are out front speaking for the party, not the people who are.
If you think
she's evolving,
yeah, she's evolving,
and
as we all are,
and she is moving into
right.
She understands the game a little bit more, and if you notice, she is sort of becoming a sort of normal kind of Democrat in many ways.
Yes.
I think she's a She's a very smart tactic.
One of Bill Maher's biggest concerns is that AOC hasn't evolved. The political landscape has shifted, voter priorities have changed, but according to him, she's still locked into the same progressive messaging that first put her on the map, and that's a problem. Her positions on immigration and her ties to democratic socialist ideas could easily become major vulnerabilities in a general election. Many critics say those stances sit too far outside the mainstream. They risk pushing away the exact moderate and independent voters a Democrat would need to win nationally. Maher's take is direct: leading a party isn't just about keeping your core happy, it's about building something much wider, and right now he doesn't see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing that.
AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids.
Bill Maher also brings up a moment that got a lot of attention at a rally. A Palestinian flag was draped over an American flag and the crowd cheered. AOC didn't publicly push back. In Maher's view, that silence says something in a politically charged environment. Failing to address moments like that sends a message, whether intentional or not. Critics argue it raises questions about priorities, about where a candidate's focus truly lies, and in a national election, every gesture, every reaction, every silence gets put under a microscope. Maher's argument is clear: when voters start wondering where you stand on something as fundamental as national identity, doubt takes over, and in politics, doubt can be the difference between winning and losing.
James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and had been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please, we say fetch now.
Not long ago, AOC and her allies wore the word woke like a badge of honor. It was loud, it was proud, it was everywhere. But things have changed today. That word has become a political liability, and now AOC seems eager to distance herself from it. But Bill Maher isn't falling for it. He argues the label may be gone, but the policies behind it haven't moved an inch. To him, it's not a real shift, it's a rebrand, and voters notice. For a lot of people, especially those already skeptical of progressive politics, changing the name of something doesn't change how they feel about it. Maher's point is sharp: you can drop the word, but you can't drop the perception, and in a national campaign, perception is everything.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx.
It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
And then there's the Latinx issue. Polls keep showing the same thing. A massive portion of the Latino community either rejects or doesn't connect with the term at all, yet AOC continues to defend it, calling language fluid and evolving. Bill Maher finds that contradiction telling. On one hand, she's walking away from the word woke because it became toxic. On the other, she's doubling down on a term the very people it's supposed to represent don't even want. For a lot of voters, that disconnect feels arrogant. It looks like a politician telling a community what they should be called instead of listening to what they actually prefer. Maher's critique hits at a bigger pattern when there's a visible gap between what a political figure pushes and what real people feel. It chips away at credibility.
It's what's so odd about this time that we're living in. For all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of suck and unable to change. But we have changed a lot. Democrat Cori Bush tweeted, "This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." And this was on the 4th of July. Really? Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective.
When you look at the bigger picture, Bill Maher's entire argument comes back to one word: electability. He does not deny AOC's energy, and he does not dismiss her ability to draw attention, fill venues, or inspire loyal supporters. In fact, that is part of what makes her politically powerful. She knows how to command a room, drive conversation, and keep herself at the center of the national spotlight. But Maher's point is that popularity inside a movement is not the same thing as popularity across a country. There is a major difference between exciting the base and persuading the middle, and that difference is where elections are won or lost. Or AOC may be highly effective at energizing people who already agree with her, but far less effective at reassuring the voters who decide national races. He argues that the problem goes deeper than personality. It touches ideology, messaging, tone, and perception, from questions about authenticity to the way political language is constantly repackaged, and from progressive activism to a broader sense of cultural distance. Maher believes many mainstream voters see a version of politics that feels more performative than persuasive, and that is the real warning here. Elections are not won on applause alone. They are not won on social media momentum, viral slogans, or carefully managed branding. They are won on trust, clarity, consistency, and the ability to connect with ordinary voters who may not live online or speak the language of political activism. When voters start questioning who you really are, what you truly believe, or whether your message changes with the audience, doubt begins to grow, and in politics, doubt can quietly destroy a candidacy long before election day arrives. Maher's final takeaway is blunt: unless AOC broadens her appeal and confronts these perceptions directly, she risks remaining exactly what she is now: visible, influential, and loud, but not fully electable. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next